to compete, you have to collaborate and think out of the box. That's where education needs to be.
So Jim, starting off, do you think we're seeing a change in the way that employers value education and also skill sets?
Absolutely. If you look around the world, increasingly college degrees no longer secure jobs because the business market is changing so radically and so quickly that you've spent 4 years to get a BA degree, and by the time you get it, it's completely irrelevant. So worldwide, global corporations are looking for a new kind of education. And in fact, IBM did a study where they interviewed 1,700 CEOs and 3,600 students in 60 countries around the world. And they found that without exception, no institution of higher education is realistically preparing young people for the global corporations.
So what does the education, like the one that you're representing today, from an investor's point of view, why is it so appealing?
Well, because it is relevant to what the students want. If a degree doesn't give you a job, then what you need is a modular education where you can come into a university and get exactly the courses you need for exactly what you want to do. Google, for example, holds certificates now at the same level as college degrees. They want to find out, are you collaborative? Are you creative? Are you resilient? Do you play well with others? You go through 8 interviews with Google. Then if they hire you because you have the qualities as a human being that they want, then they send you to school to get exactly the kind of education required for the job they want you to do. So what that means is that traditional education is being turned on its head. And when you factor in the most fundamental change that's happening, that the millennial generation and the Gen Z generation behind them are all digital. The young people today are the first generation in history that mediate their reality through technology. And so the educational institutions have to account for that because that's just the world that we live in.
So in your opinion, do you think, what kind of modules do you think are becoming more popular now? Are there certain subjects that are, say, becoming extinct to employers and certain ones that are actually becoming more appealing?
Well, 30 years ago, a liberal arts education was comprised of, well, you studied French and you studied trigonometry and you studied German history. Today, liberal arts is around collaborative creativity. It's around emotional intelligence. It's about cross-boundary team building. How can you work with diverse peoples to engage in a collective exercise to solve global problems? You don't learn that out of a book. You learn that out of developing your interior self-mastery as a human being. So how learning takes place and what the global corporations need in a hyper-complex world where to compete, you have to collaborate and think out of the box. That's where education needs to be.
And it definitely sounds that it's on the way to that path. So from an investor's point of view, for someone that's watching, what are the risks that could be associated with this and what are the advantages?
Well, first of all, online education is one of the most profitable sectors in the entire global economy. If you're digging an oil well or you're building a hotel or you are engaging in manufacturing, there are huge capital costs, operational costs, real estate costs. But if you are mediating an entire university out of an iPhone, your technology costs are minuscule because through this iPhone, we can deliver Ubiquity University education to 1,000 people or 500,000 people. So what that means is that your operational costs as an online digital institution does not have to increase proportional to your revenues. So that's why the amount of margin going to the investors is so extraordinary.
Well, Jim, it's definitely a very exciting concept. So thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your insights.
Thank you.
That's all from myself and Jim, but if you did like this video, do like and comment on Dukascopy.tv.